Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Women's Wisdom Through the Ages. Today, I'm with a very special guest, Desmore Samios, so I'll introduce her in a moment. But if it's the first time that you're joining us, welcome. Basically, it started because women have wisdom, and especially women at different ages. We think differently at different ages, and maybe what we used to think we were in our teens or in our 20s or our 50s, whatever, that we evolve as time goes on, hopefully, and get a bit wiser, but also that women of different ages, sometimes it takes us coming together. It's not just if you're 70, you're really wise. There's some people when they're 15 or they're 10 or they're in their 30s that they've got a lot of wisdom to offer. And sometimes, especially as you get older and you've been through the rough and tumble of life, we need younger people coming through to sort of energize us again and get us excited about life again. So I'm just really pleased today that we've got Desmore Samios, and I'm just going to read a little intro. Desmore's in her 30s and I've just entered my 50s. So we've got two different ages today. So Desmore is a public speaking coach, speaker and MC with a deep love and passion for helping people discover their own public speaking superpower. She's held previous roles as a producer, newsreader and radio host, as well as writing her own TV show, which aired on community TV. So welcome, Desmore.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. And so today, I'd like you, first of all, to just talk about you, because obviously we have done that role of reversal a few years ago when I came up to Brisbane and you were interviewing me.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about you. So tell us a bit about who are you? Where did you come from?
Who am I? Okay, I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, moved to Brisbane, Australia about 12 years ago. I feel so old. Anyway, moved here 12 years ago. I have a 12-year-old son. I have a husband. We have a beautiful little almost three-year-old Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. So just a gorgeous little bundle of light. And I was saying to you before, at the moment, I am juggling this apartment between my son is homeschooling, my husband is on a Skype, and Katie's scratching doors. So she's trying to get in everywhere. But yeah, I'm a mom, I'm a public speaking coach, I'm a business owner. What am I still? I'm a daughter, I'm a friend. Geez, that list can go on and on past 4 minutes. Do you have all day, Catherine?
Wonderful. And I love that, because obviously, I follow you on Facebook and Instagram and different things. And so you quite often talk about your son, or you talk about the importance of family, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I wanted to discuss today is the influence of your mum, because your mum was so instrumental in your life. And, so tell us, what was it like? What was special about your mum? What was special about your upbringing?
Oh, my mum was, when people say, who do you look up to? I would I look up to my mum. My mum, I grew up, as I said before, in Cape Town, South Africa, and my mum was a machinist at Jordan Shoes in Cape Town. And she used to put the soles of shoes, on the shoes and the factory. And she worked there for over 30 years. But my mum, she inspired us so much. We grew up single-handedly. My mum had raised my brother and I single-handedly. But, I've learned so much about her strength and her determination and her ability to pick herself up. And she was always so grateful, Catherine. She was always so grateful. I don't know if it's just an African thing, but she would always, every little item that came in the house, every little rand she used to be so grateful. It looked as though she had won the lotto. And she always said, if you are grateful for a little, you will always be grateful for a lot. If you are blessed with a little, you'll be blessed with a lot, but you need to know how to manage it. And so I was looking at all of these principles. My mom would always know where everything was. She would always have her values in place. She would get up every morning. She would, and I look and I think about my mom today, and I think I think I'm the woman that I am because of my mum's influence,
Mm-hmm.
because of that mindset that if you fall, you get back up again.
Yeah.
If life deals you lemons, you make lemonade, like you get up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always seen my mum get up, even in the hardest,
Mm-hmm.
most challenging times that life looked as though it splintered her and shattered
Mm-hmm.
her. She always had taken the lesson from that and
Yeah.
kept it going.
Wonderful. And so was she a single mum?
She was a single
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
how did she get, where did she get her strength from?
She always says, we had this conversation actually, 'cause we speak every Sunday, and she
Mm-hmm.
said she got her strength. My mum is very religious, so she
Mm-hmm.
would pray often, and she
Mm-hmm.
always said, I get my strength from my source.
Okay.
You know, she always had faith. She would always couple
Mm-hmm.
determined mindset with faith and
Yeah.
belief. And when my mum used to say, we will get through this, she didn't say, oh, she never used words like, I hope,
Mm-hmm.
maybe,
Mm-hmm.
if. No, my mum, if she said that we will, she would always have faith that it is. And you know what? It's interesting, even in our neighborhood, we didn't have that much, but what we had, my mum would always share.
Mm.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I think back to my childhood memories. And Catherine, just like that, when my mum had run out of cheese or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
some neighbor down the road, two blocks away,
Yeah.
would come with a block of cheese. And my mum said, where did that come from?
Yeah.
You know, how, yeah. But she always believed that
Mm-hmm.
even if you have a little, you share.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I kid you not, her abundance, I still
Mm-hmm.
think back and I go, if she had a half a loaf of bread, then if someone came knocking at our door,
Mm.
she would give you
Yeah.
a piece of bread with everything she had on it.
Yeah.
But I kid you not, she'll always get her bounty
Mm-hmm.
back twofold.
Yeah.
So her
Wonderful.
strength was incredible.
Yeah. And I think, and just before we came on, um, we were talking about the difference between Africa and Australia.
Yeah,
And I find people's faith, I know quite a few Africans,
yeah,
and I know Jewish Africans, I know Christian Africans, I've
yeah,
met people sort of from different countries, Zimbabwe, Zambia,
yeah,
many from South Africa
yeah,
as an example. And it's, even if people don't believe in God, for example, if they
yeah,
believe in other things, because obviously there's voodoo and all sorts of
yeah,
things over there, but it seems to me that they're much more aware of the spiritual realm. And so one of the things that I wanted
mhm,
to us to chat about today is the rise in the interest of the supernatural. And
yeah,
the reason I bring that up is because you've said for people to find their public speaking superpower.
yeah,
And as soon as you said the superpower, I got thinking about, you know, the Justice League and Captain
yeah,
America and
yeah,
Batman and Robin and things like that. And but also I was thinking of like the United States and China, and there's all these
mm,
different ways of talking about the superpower.
yeah,
But one of the things, and you mentioned it as well beforehand, it's like there's been just share about what you said about how it's like been some sort of awakening during the COVID-19. So just share what you were saying about that.
I was saying beforehand, COVID-19 for me was like an awakening
Mm-hmm.
of self, an awakening that we are so reliant on others sometimes for our own power, and we use that saying often, we are one,
Mm-hmm.
we're part of the collective, and we used to throw those terms around a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
then you would see people look at you like, you know, they look at you but they're not really understand. And then
Yeah.
COVID-19 hit, and people really
Mm-hmm.
understood the gravity of what is in one is in the whole. If
Mm-hmm.
I disobey the order of doing something, it has a domino effect on
Mm-hmm.
someone else. So I think there was such a spiritual awakening that
Mm-hmm.
we are one and the same. Mother Nature, humanity, the animal kingdom, we're all dependent on the resources that we
Mm-hmm.
governed on this planet Earth. And we all
Mm-hmm.
have a responsibility to look after the planet Earth.
Yeah.
So there was awakening of self, an
Mm-hmm.
awakening of shift. And the other thing is, if people weren't used to being in self-isolation
Mm-hmm.
and they were dependent on external gratification to keep them happy, to keep them distracted. Self-isolation has really shook many to their core, because the
Yes.
things that they were running away from, they
Mm.
now, bam, had to deal with.
Yes.
The shops were closed, everything was closed. There was no quick fix to everything.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, I think when people come out of, or they've already come out of this, there's going to be such a deeper awareness of self
Mm-hmm.
that is going to be
Yeah.
transformational.
Yes, and I really like the fact that you said self as one of where we all impact each other, like nobody is an island. Um,
Yes.
one of the things that I've found is not often taught in Australia, but it used to be, which I find
Yeah.
fascinating, is we tend to teach about independence. You're
Yeah.
dependent as a child, and then you learn how to tie your shoelaces and go to the
Yeah.
toilet and all of these things. But then to me, independence is like a transitional stage that nobody should ever stay in, because it's about interdependence and working together as part
Yes.
of a team. And so that, I would say, seems to be one of the biggest differences that either if I've worked with children or worked with young adults or different groups, they're like, wow, wow. And I'm like, well, that's what we always used to do. And for me, when I look, for example, at friends from big African families,
Yeah.
it's all about the interdependence. It's about your family. And so I loved it, when you're talking about your family. So it could be your
It's a
husband.
tribe.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's very different. And I think I agree with you. In Australia now, people are realizing it is about family, and we need to look at, okay, well, what is family? Where are we? What does it look like for us, for our family?
Yes. Yeah.
So,
And I think also it's interesting, we were isolated, or by communication or by mobile devices before this hit. So it's incredible when it's like Mother Nature said, oh, you're sitting at a table and everyone's on their devices and
mhm,
everyone's together. No one's really paying attention. The person next to you texting to. So although we were in homes as tribes, we were very isolated. And that's the honesty,
mm,
the
mm,
one person would be sitting in the lounge on the computer, and it happens in my house too. So I'm
mm.
not going to preach without taking acknowledgement for what has happened. So it
Yeah.
might be, we get so used to patterns where maybe Callum has too much screen time, and then I
Mhm,
would go on my device and mark, and then eventually it hits you that, hang on, how is this a tribe if
mm.
we together, but we're not really together? Then
Yes.
COVID-19 hit and everyone was on their phones, checking in on their family members,
Mhm.
and having this yearning to hang
Yeah.
out with their colleagues and all.
Yeah.
And I felt like Mother Nature said, okay, kids on Earth School, you want a lesson in togetherness? Oh, let me give you a good lesson on
Yes.
humanity and coming together. So I
Yes.
think, I think it's a tribal collect. I hope that we wake up to
Mm.
Mother Nature's lessons that she deals with so beautifully.
Yes. Yes. It's definitely an interesting time, but also with that, I find sometimes the internet goes really slow.
Yes.
And then it's like you've got all these people that are on their devices, and sometimes it could be during work hours. So, like
Yeah.
in my household, we've got 2 people at the moment working from home, but it
Yeah.
could soon be 3 people working from home.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, it's really challenging. You're trying to have a meeting, or you've got to watch something or do something as part of your job. Fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. I've
Yeah.
actually chosen to go back usually
Yeah.
to work partly for that reason, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just nice to get out of the house as well. Like it's just 1 or 2 days a week, which is
Yeah.
great, and it's nice to connect with people. But it's fascinating to see when people, even they're not able to be online and looking at everything. Have you had that
Yes.
happen very much with you?
I've had I've had the internet go in and out. I'm amazed that it's actually lasted this long, that we weren't cut
Yeah.
out. But I've noticed it's not, for me, it was not so much. The internet has been pretty good though. I can't
Hmm.
complain.
Yeah.
However, I just found that in the times that it did cut out or it wasn't as fast,
Hmm.
getting off the internet and actually relaxing my muscles, because I'm amazed at how our posture is affected by
Yes.
sitting on devices right all the time. So I now have to get neck and shoulder massages quite
Yeah.
often because I'm always on my mobile, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
even notice I come past the kitchen and my phone and so I think for me what it's sort of taught me is in the time that the internet wasn't operating at high speed
Mm-hmm.
is that the relief on my body actually was awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
To not engage
Mm-hmm.
in technology in a position for hours
Yeah.
was just it was
Mm.
healing.
And it's interesting when you were talking about before about everybody being on their devices, I thought you were going to go on and say, well, people didn't actually want to be on their devices, that they wanted to connect with each other. But you were saying, and you're quite right, that people want to be connecting more because then they can go on Zoom, then they can go on these family chats and all of these wonderful things. But I don't know if you've seen it up in Brisbane. I've seen it here in Sydney, that
Yeah.
there's so many more families walking or going on bike rides together, or it's just amazing. Like when we're going to just go for our walks in the parks, there's just families reconnecting and there's no phones in sight.
I find the same thing. I'm giggling. I've not seen as many people walking on the river walkway
Yeah.
as I did when when the government has lifted the restrictions.
Yeah.
And I was amazed. There was this joy.
Yeah.
This people were posting about, oh my gosh, I'm actually out with my children. And it was incredible because I think we take our freedom for granted.
Mm.
So to actually be out and to leave the phones at home
Mm-hmm.
so I think in a way I just find it's just the most COVID-19 unfortunately has taken so many lives globally. So there's a pro and con to this. I
Mm.
think the pro is that it's awakening people, that
Mm-hmm.
connection, family, and even I miss things like hugging. I'm a hugger,
I
so I
know. Yeah.
naturally gravitate towards hugging
Yeah.
people and
Same.
patting people and going, "You'll be
Mm.
fine. Give
Yeah.
me a hug. How
Yeah.
was your day?" And so
Mm.
I feel really the other day, my natural response when I've seen a friend, and we went for coffee and we had to keep our social. I walked up and the first thing I said, oh, no, we can't do this. I
Yeah.
can't do this.
Yeah.
So it was very different.
Yes.
I felt, I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very much the same, especially
Yeah.
I've lived many years between here and Indonesia, for example, and I've
Yeah.
also lived in East Timor, and you're always hugging each other, or you're always, got contact. You're sitting right next to each other, which is very different usually in most,
Yeah.
say, Caucasian households in Australia. Yep. And
Yeah.
one other thing I wanted to chat about, obviously, is, public speaking coach
Yeah.
and you were talking about, your public speaking superpower. Tell
Yeah.
us about that and why you're getting more into that these days.
This is such a big love and passion for me. And I was saying to you before the interview that the clients that I work with, what I find fascinating? The fact that when they say to me, I'm afraid of public speaking, that is
Mm-hmm.
the tip of the iceberg. So then we start to unravel and uncover, and it might be feeling disempowered when they put their hand up in a meeting and someone
Mm-hmm.
ignored them. Or it
Mm.
could be that as a child, they wanted attention and they never felt heard. Or it could
Mm.
be in a relationship where they always felt that their opinion didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we start to uncover and we work with releasing the energy around the throat chakra, we release all of
Mm-hmm.
the barriers, we work on this, the wings, this coat, this superpower just
Yeah.
comes to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And to see the posture, Catherine, from feeling disempowered, no, I
Mm.
can't put my hand up, but
Mm-hmm.
to yes, I'm going to put myself forward for a podcast. I'm going
Yeah.
to put myself forward for an event. It's just fascinating to me
Mm.
how people don't realize that your voice is part of your natural expression of communicating your inner thoughts, your
Mm-hmm.
inner feelings, your inner creativity with
Mm.
the world. And why die with the music inside of you?
Yes. Yes. And then I was just reminded of a movie I saw years ago, and I think it was called The Music Within or something.
Yeah,
Fabulous. And it was I don't know if that's the right title,
yeah,
but the guy, he was a speaker and he was a very good speaker, but he
yeah,
hadn't actually got to who was he and what was important to him. And so
Yes.
that was also fascinating, that sometimes it can be the exact opposite. And also we were talking earlier, and I was saying about women have generally been silenced in so many different arenas, obviously
Yeah.
politics, business, and especially compared to other nations. Other nations, it
Yes.
seems to be very, similar, but, Australia is much more conservative, which I
Yeah.
think in some ways is great, but in another way, it's that from that side of it, it's not great, because we are 50% roughly women. And then
Yeah.
you had a different take on that, which is wonderful, and I think it's important to mention.
It was interesting because I coach male and female clients. And you know what? When we excavate and when we go deeper
Hmm.
in the barriers, males and females are so similar, but we show up differently.
Yes.
I've had males that felt silenced too because they weren't heard in their
Hmm.
families.
Yeah.
I've had males that were shy too to speak up, as their female counterpart had felt shy too. And it's
Mm.
interesting because I had this misconception
Hmm.
that, one gender, but it's incredible when I started to work with, and now I have no preconceptions.
Hmm.
I have no judgment. I'm open to working with everyone,
Hmm.
because I think in the human behavior, whether you're male or female, we want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want to know that we matter. We
Hmm.
want to know that our fullest expression of potential
Mm.
has been recognized, not only for others, but for
Hmm.
ourselves. And I think that's so universal, whether you're male or female. I think
Hmm.
you can relate to the same issues. However, I've noticed with males, they would feel the fear, but they'll still put themselves forward.
Yes.
So they will tremble and they'll still throw their hat in the ring and they'll go, I have 60% or I have 50% of
Hmm.
what I need for this, but I'm still going to put my hand up. What I have noticed with the females that I coach, they will have 80% of potential,
Hmm.
of skill sets, of just magic, just their energy, their aura, what they have to, but they won't put themselves forward. And I go,
Mm.
oh, what are you waiting for? You have a portfolio of incredible offerings. You
Mm.
have so much wisdom,
Hmm.
so much. What are you waiting for? Oh,
Mm.
let me just get another course. Let me just get another let me just grow my career. And I thought, whoa. And I would ask them, have you said this throughout your career journey? Yeah. And so when you look back 10 years ago, I bet you
Hmm.
said the same thing.
Mm.
Yes, I did. And so 10 years forward in the future, are you going to
Hmm.
wait for another 10 years
Yes.
forward? So I have noticed that between the males and females,
Yeah.
and sometimes the woman really gets stuck in,
Hmm.
in, in that paralyzing fear that they're not enough.
Yeah, that was my next question. Why do you think women do that? So why don't you think they're enough? Like why don't, in your experience, when you're coaching people, why are they feeling not enough, do you think?
I think perfectionism,
Mm.
honestly, for
Hmm.
women is the one thing,
Mm.
and comparison. Oh, the amount of times I've heard, but she has it all. She's amazing on stage. Look at the way she dresses. Look at her
Yeah.
skin. Look at her
Yeah.
hair. Look at, I'm not good enough. How can I do that if I don't look? And so by the time I listen to the narrative, no
Mm.
wonder, by the time you get to so I think the thing that I've noticed is it's the overthinking. This is just
Hmm.
what I've observed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's overthinking. It's
Hmm.
the overanalyzing. It's they almost had exempted themselves from the arena before they even entered the arena.
Hmm.
So they've written themselves off before they even. So it's interesting
Hmm.
because men, like I said before, men will throw their hat in the ring even
Mm.
if they don't know what the outcome is. Their hat is
Mm.
still in the ring.
Mm.
Women will sit on, not every woman, I should say,
Hmm.
not everyone, but I've noticed majority will wait until they're ready to throw their hat in the
Mm.
arena. And I
Yeah.
think that comes down to self-esteem, self-belief, self-confidence,
Hmm.
your inner dialogue, your mindset.
Hmm.
And we have to excavate those things and we have to say enough is enough.
Yeah. Yeah. it's interesting. I agree, and I have seen all of those things, and the way I've seen it, sometimes it could
Yeah.
be even for men and women going for jobs. If
Yes.
a woman
Okay.
doesn't have 100% of everything that's in the selection criteria, it's quite unusual for her to go for the job. Well, I can't go for that. I don't have that.
Yeah.
But men will go even if they've only got 50%.
Yes.
And yet, and for myself, for example, I've gone for jobs that I've been told I've been overconfident. And I said, well, I've already done that job before. So I like your company. I think it would be
Yeah.
great. I'd love to help you. But it's just fascinating of the differences. So it's and I would like to get back to your mum again. How do you think it's different? Because sometimes with mums, I find you've got mums that sort of can push their kids forward, or mums that lead by example. And so my question, so I would say for you, looking with you, I'd say from what I see, it's like you're leading by example. You want your son to be doing all these wonderful things, so you're doing these wonderful things, and you're leading by example. Like you said, you've got your own business, very happily married. You love sharing. Like, it was your son's birthday the other day, is that right? Did I say that?
Yeah, it was my birthday. It was my
Happy
husband's birthday.
birthday.
So
Sorry.
thank you. So it's my birthday on the 30th of April. It was my husband's birthday on the 2nd of May. And it's
Wow.
Callan's birthday on the 30th, actually not this Saturday, the next Saturday.
Okay.
So we just, and the thing is, it might appear, but I know my husband now for 16 years, and we've had our ups and downs and everything in between. But I think when you were saying about my mother, the one thing that I've learned from my mom is that she was a doer rather than a speaker.
Yeah,
it was action rather than like saying, oh, one day if she said she was going to do something, Catherine, maybe it's the African mama in her, but you can bet your bottom dollar she made truth on a word.
Yeah.
And I liken that to when I did MC gigs too, or when I did public speaking. Behind the curtain, my palms start sweating. I get really nervous. And then I'm standing there with a microphone and I go, you can do this. How can you be a coach to others if you're not willing to, push yourself? So the more action you take, and that's what I've learned from my mum, the more action you take, the more confident you become. You can read umpteen personal development books. You can listen to thousands of podcasts. You can do personal development courses until it rings out of your ears. But if you're not going to translate that information into actionable steps, I guarantee you will still be years from now where you are today, unless you're willing to push through, right? Unless you're willing to push through that resistance of fear. Unless you're willing to stand with that microphone, feel your palms sweating, your heart is racing out of your chest, and you're going, but you're saying, okay, let's do this. Where's my superpower? Where's my cape? Come, hello, 5, 4, 3, hey, and you're doing it. And the more you train your brain, no, you are not in charge here. I'm going to push past you. You will build your confidence and your resilience.
Yeah. And I love that, because it sounds like from what you're saying, I just love it. And partly because the last interview I did was for Mother's Day. And we actually had 2 sessions on Mother's Day. So it was a real focus on mums. That's why I love the fact that you've come in now, because when I go through like your website, your story, or, having met you a couple of years ago, that's what I remember a lot was your story, and, your mum being such an inspiration. And so I love that. When I look at, say, for example, I think a lot of the children, even when you see in the park or something, I saw something the other day, and it was of a mum doing a dance and things. And so she was taking a little video, but the daughter was just having a ball as well. So I think sometimes, and every mum is different. And so I'm not comparing like one is better, one is worse or whatever. But like you said, if people have the integrity and they're walking the talk, I think that's big. So it's not just thinking about it, not just talking about it, but doing it. And so I love that. Yeah.
Catherine, in all due respect, we can all meditate all we like in our
Mm.
homes. We can all close our eyes, hold our
Mm.
fingers, and
Yeah.
say, I envision, I envision, I envision, I
Mm.
envision. And then you open the one eye and you go, but how come I'm still sitting here? I envision. The truth of the matter is,
Yeah. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
much as you sit there
Yeah.
and envision and read as many books as you like,
Yes. Yes.
you still have to do actionable steps
Yes.
from the invisible to ground. I always say to ground things
Mm-hmm.
takes action. So you can have
Yeah.
a vision. The vision, we can all
Mm-hmm.
dream. That's
Mm.
the easy part. We
Yeah.
can all have a vision. That's the easy
Mm-hmm.
part. However, it's the real work starts from taking the invisible and
Yes.
grounding it into the visible. And when
Absolutely.
people say, oh, you just a natural this, you a natural that, they don't see the 15
Mm.
years behind you. They
Yeah.
don't see the 10 years. They don't see the tears, the kick in the
Yes.
gut, the
Yes.
failures, all the rest of it.
Mm.
Because in the real world, to become a success at anything you do,
Mm-hmm.
you have to roll with the punches,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So you can
Mm.
sit and meditate all you like and envision all you like, but until you're willing
Yes.
to do something,
Yes. Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. And I so just as we're sort of, rounding up,
yeah,
what sort of advice, like you've talked about, so what I find fascinating, that I love reading about your story, which is on, Desmore Media, dot
yeah.
com,
Yeah,
or dot com dot au,
desmoremedia.com.
dot com.
.com.
And I love that you share, even as a young girl, that you understood the power of education, or, these
Yeah,
different things of how that you could change your life, and especially
yeah,
coming from Cape Town. So, because Cape Town does have a lot of very wealthy people, and it has, and different areas. So it's such a,
yes.
a diverse city. It's just wow in so many ways. Um, so what would be one of the things maybe that you think differently now than you used to, maybe? Is there anything?
No, actually, I'm still the 10-year-old Desmore. I'm still the girl that, used to dream, and I would still be the girl that was accountable. And I was still, I always say at 10 years old, my life changed. And what I've recognized at 10 years old was that I am the captain of my own ship.
Yeah.
And the difference between a doer and a dreamer is sometimes that a dreamer will blame everyone else. I blame you because my dream, I blame this, I blame that, I blame the socio-economical stance that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was quite different. For me, it was like, okay, so what is in my control here? Okay, what can I do? And I'm still that Desmore who goes, okay, I can't control the external world. I can control my internal world. I can control what I learn, how I
Mm-hmm.
grow, how I evolve, how I expand. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And I haven't changed
Yeah. I
a
love
bit.
it.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
When people say, what do you, I go, I'm still that little Desmore. I
Mm-hmm.
still, I still push myself. I still
Mm-hmm.
go against the grain of resistance. However, I will say the only downside, and I have to be very honest with your listeners, is that when you're used to pushing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
expanding, growing, sometimes you don't stop to realize how far you've come,
Yeah.
because you're so used to being in evolution mode,
Mm-hmm.
to achieving and getting achieve. You go, wow,
Yes.
I dreamt of this, and a couple of months later, so eventually you almost become numb to your
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
potential or your own
Mm-hmm.
how far you've come. So I've hit my head many a times. I go, well, I'm not achieving enough. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing enough. I'm not. And then afterwards, I had to really sit and go, how much more do you just want to push, push, push,
Mm-hmm.
push, push
Mm.
until you sit there mentally and emotionally exhausted,
Yeah.
because you just constantly
Mm-hmm.
on the next thing and tomorrow and next year. So
Yeah.
to your listeners, please take time out to acknowledge how far you've come.
Absolutely. And do you find with that, I find the importance of celebration, and be around people who celebrate the small wins.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think, and that's why I enjoy, as much as I enjoy speaking about business and career, I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy hanging out with my friends. I have a beautiful Turkish friend that just makes the best food. I love and adore her. When I go over to her home, her home smells just incredible, and I love her cooking. And when I'm with her, we don't speak about business, we don't speak about careers. She gets me in the kitchen and she says, oh, do you know how the Turkish, we roll the bread this way? And it's so nice to be able to be with people who celebrate different things. And you get to celebrate it too. And then you come home and you go, maybe I'll try a South African dish. Maybe I'll celebrate my heritage. But you know what I mean? So I think it's important to hang around not only people that that you think, for example, is in your, like, you know, business and career and all of that, but also expand your circle. And it might be another culture, or it might be someone who is completely likes different things to you, that is so different to you that you go, wow, how are we even sitting at the same table right now? But you celebrate wins, for me anyway, by diversifying your frame of reference too.
I love that. Oh, and is there one, I mean, you've really answered it already, but just if there's any one lasting piece of wisdom that you would like to add even more than the gems you've already been adding. Because I'm just aware, I'm really pleased that you're here, and you've been a podcaster for many years. I'm having a break at the moment, but to me, I really want people to get the most out of this series, and especially during COVID-19. It's a time where we are taking more time out to listen and to gain wisdom from people who have gone before. And obviously, I mean, you know, I'm just going to read again that you've been a producer, you've been a newsreader, you've been a radio host, you've written your own TV show. You know, you're so young, you're only in your 30s. I know you obviously from your podcasting, so Desmore Chats With, which you did for, you know, been doing for 3 years, but you're having a break at the moment. So it's just, we just want to honor you for just pushing through. And I understand whenever you're doing anything, there's things that come against you, or life happens, and you know, and it's like things can feel like they've fallen out from under you, and picking yourself back up again. But so what is it that you could just leave another piece of wisdom?
I would say, if you have an intuitive nudge to move towards something, do it. I had an intuitive nudge that I was going to live abroad one day at 10 years old, and I'm in Australia now. And having said that, moving to Australia wasn't easy. The visas, the reestablishing yourself, the creating a new identity, like that had hit me to my core. I felt like John Doe. But all I really want to leave your listeners with is understanding that life will give you breadcrumbs, right? And if you're really in tune with your internal voice and your intuitive self, the fear that you feel will be transformed with trust. And so what I've done throughout my life, I've just trusted. I'm really scared here. I'm really scared. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no crystal ball. But I always trusted, the universe has your back here, Desmore. It wouldn't give you the strong intuitive nudge to move forward. And I look back at my life now and I go, follow your own yellow brick road. Follow the breadcrumbs that is your life, your intuitive self, your spiritual self, your evolution speaking to you. You're not supposed to be anyone else. You've come here to be you and make it the best journey. So when you leave here, you have loved, you have lived, you've grown, and you were you all the way to the end. So follow your own yellow brick road.
Wonderful. I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on today, and just hang around while I finish the recording. So you've been listening to, my name's Catherine Elliss, or Catherine Joy. So we can be found on Podbean, we can be found on YouTube, and it's called The Women's Wisdom Through the Ages. And today we've been chatting with Desmore Samios of Desmore Media, and who is a public speaking coach. And obviously today, hearing so much about her, hopefully there's going to be some of you that'll be, you know, considering, you know, contacting her, you know, for her business, because obviously this is one of the offshoots of this, is hopefully by profiling the woman behind the business, that will also hopefully be blessing you as well, and maybe even getting more clients. But that's not the sole purpose. The sole purpose is about sharing wisdom, looking at how you can overcome, especially during challenging times. So thank you so much for coming along today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, just stop the video. Oh,
I've got